give you the essentials list to be a color pencil artist. I like to think of myself as like a bones my ass, scrappy artist that doesn't need that much, but lately I'm becoming a little more demanding and maybe it's just like a little more professional. So there are a few things that are essential and there are a few things that aren't essential but really necessary. I'm an artist that does color pencil on paper, so we need paper. So I like a hot press and I like it thick. I like it heavy. I actually used to think I was heavy and I was doing 350 GSM. I've just recently moved to 640 GSM and it's really good and it sounds great. It's almost like good bread. It needs to have as good of a sound as a taste, and paper needs to have a really good sound. So I want it thick and pretty flat. I don't really like to go by the guidance of like what products are for what at the art store. I feel like doesn't work for me. So I just trial and error. But what's really important is just to stay consistent, because you need to like master the paper. I need to know exactly how the paper is going to respond. I need to know its little crevices, which pencils are going to go well on it. So it's really about, it's kind of like creature habit. You find your paper and you just stick to it. And there are lots of good ones. Right now I'm into Arches, hot press, 640 GSM. But then we need to get the paper to size. You can buy it. The 640 you can't buy in a roll because it's too thick to roll. But to size it, you could cut it, you could slice it, or as I do is you decal it. And then how do you decal an edge? With rulers. So what else do you need in your closet? Your art closet is rulers. I've got two. I've got a clear one that has like, I actually used to use it for pattern making and fashion design. So it's got a grid on it. So you can rule whilst looking at the drawings below. But I actually never rule lines on the drawings because I feel like super straight lines are unnatural. So I always use my hand. But it's good to have. And then I have a metal ruler, which is like for the deckled edge. So you just fold the edge and then rip it, and that's how you get the edge. And I also do that for my prints to give you that like hand touched. Every print now, it's changed. There's always iterations. So if you buy prints over the years, they're going to be quite different. But I think that's great. Anyway, they're deckled as well. Touched by the hand or something like that. The next most crucial part of pencil work on paper is the pencils. Now there's only 3 brands that I use. 3 brands only. The first is Prismacolor Premier Collection, which is like, I feel like we all start with the Prismacolor. They have the most variety. They're kind of my like bread and butter of the collection. So I have all their colors, but I will only ever buy color pencils in individuals because I've done the packs before, but then you end up with like all these fuchsias that you never use. Like we're never really using the neon pinks. I buy them one by one, but I usually like 5, maybe 10 at a time. So I've got my Prismacolors, and then I've got my Caran d'Ache, which are nicer, they're more expensive. They are these brown ones, really great. And then recently I just found, like only 2 years, the Holbein ones, which are Japanese, and they're amazing. And I feel like they're all kind of, they work really well together, which is really important. Sometimes they don't. Something that I do not use and probably should be mentioned is the Faber-Castell Polychromos, which people like. I hate them. I hate them. They do not blend. I guess people use them. I've seen like on YouTube, people use them for like pets and drawing fur. Maybe. I don't draw fur. So I want like everything blended and to not see pencil marks. And Polychromos is like, it's like, you know how you use it like at HB and those ones are like the bitches used to do tests with? That's what the Polychromos is like. Caveat, the white Polychromos is really good for indenting, and I'll get to that in a second. So I use like all these different whites and for different reasons. The Holbein has 2 whites, which are that's my Polychromos. The Holbein has 2 whites, one that's white and it's like all the rest, and one that's soft white, which is amazing. And it's almost like a oil pastel stick. It like smudges. So when you've got all the color, you can then put white on top. Back to the indenting. I have got tools that I use as well as the white pencil for indenting. These ones, these are like haberdashery. I think they're like crochet hooks, but different sizes. I kind of want as fine as I can go for like really, really small little details, like a whisker. Again, I don't draw fur, but it would be a whisker. Make sure don't go too sharp because then you could scrape your page. How these work, before you do the color, you start with the highlights. You can use an indenter or you can use a really hard white, very sharpened. So you do the white first, the highlight first, and then it like indents. I think I made that word up. I don't think an indenter is a real word. It's definitely not a real tool that I know of. So you like indent into the page, you leave a mark, deboss, it's debossing. And then when you color over it, it will leave the white because it's like this divot in the paper. And this is how I get the highlights. So it's like you do the highlights first because you can't really get like white on top of the color. So that's these thingy-majiggies. Okay, then you need pencil organizers because you've got to have your backup pencils, you've got to have your back of house, and you just kind of have to have everything. And that's when like traveling with pencils is not really the most ideal because it's super heavy. But that's why I have plastic cups. These are leftovers from traveling because they just like stack up and are really light. They're good. I knock them over all the time, so that's probably good. Now I kind of use jars and like whatever. I would like to get like a really formal situation, but right now it's like jars and plastic cups. But I organize my pencils by color groups. So you got your beiges, your browns, your grays, your blues, purples, and once you get too much, then you can split them up between dark purples and light purples. But I don't put them through brand. The brands don't really matter. It's like the color that matters the most. And then back onto the grays. The grey's what you use the most of for sure. And that's why I really like the Prismacolors because I know that they've got French grey, cool grey, warm grey. And in each of those, they got 10%, 20%, 30%, 50%, 70%, and 90%. And I like know those all so well. So I'm like, where's my 70% warm grey? With the other ones, like I don't know as well because I don't feel like they have as many. And those ones are just like, they're my base. Once we have organized our pencils, we gotta motherfucking keep them sharp. You've gotta sharpen your pencils all day long. So you need an electric sharpener. Now I don't have like a hero electric sharpener. Right now I have the Caran d'Ache one, which is like more expensive, which I thought would definitely make it more better. Not necessarily the case. It's good, it's heavy, it has little stickies that do not work. If anyone finds anything that can stick it down, I'm about to like drill it into the desk, because otherwise I have to hold it and put it in, which kind of loses its point. Anyway, you want one with a big carriage collector because I don't want to be emptying that all day long. So you need your electric. You also need a manual because the electric will like, you can only, you won't be able to hold it. Once it gets to this length, you won't be able to hold it. Therefore, you're going to need pencil extenders. These are magic. These are like everything, and I use them all the time on like all my pencils. It gives you twice the life on your pencils. So you get to put a little short one, which like that's not even that short, but it won't go into the electric sharpener anymore. Put it on a pencil extender, and then you won't be having to hold it like flimsy. It has something to rest on. And then you have to use your manual sharpener, and you can these now live to be like this big. These are a must. You need at least one. I only have one good mechanical pencil. I use the Staedtler 0.5 millimeter 2H graphite. I feel like you don't want like an HB, you don't want to be too smudgy. This is for your pre-drawings, and you have to make sure, anyone who's tried this, you'll learn, you have to erase it before you put color pencils on it, because once you put color pencil on graphite pencil, the graphite pencil will not move, and you don't really want to see the graphite pencil. So I use one of those really fine so I can draw out the drawing first, and then as I go, only section by section, so you can kind of see what you're working with. You erase it and you'll still see like a little smudge or a little indentation, and then you know what you're drawing and you go with your color pencils on top. So you need an eraser. I like big ones. I got a really good one in Japan and I don't know what it is, and it was like maybe this big. I like a large one, a hard one. A good little trick is that you can clean them on like your chair or carpet, because the most dangerous part of fucking up your drawing is when you're erasing, or maybe you've like if I'm erasing smudges on the white after I finish the color, and then a little piece of lead gets under the eraser and I go, and there's like a big swipe of a red lead, and it's really bad because you really can't erase colored pencil on paper. So just watch out for that. Sometimes it's good to have like a little tea towel around so you can like brush, or maybe a brush could be good. I don't have that, but something that's not your dirty mitts, to which is, I'm always using my dirty mitts. Something where you can like wipe the page and get rid of the filament that's on top, because there will be, especially if you're doing like a black spot, shit's gonna be everywhere. It's almost like charcoal. So you have to like wash it away. I blow all the time. Every time you're drawing, you're trying to blow away the pencil because it comes up. Anyway, that's got a mess. That's become a mess. You need a good light. I have the Artemita Toledo light, which just recently got, and it's really good. But you have to have one that has light adjustments and warmth adjustments, because you want like a daylight. You don't want it too warm, and you want it reasonably consistent, but which means you might have to move it, like move the adjustments throughout the day. So as it gets darker, the light gets brighter. Then I use an iPad, and I need an iPad stand. Then I need to buy a power station because I've got my electric sharpener, my light, my iPad that needs to be charged. I have a standing desk right now, which I never stand at, but I have a really good chair that I just got, and it's a game changer, and it's the Hard Capisco, which has changed the game. I've never really had, I just had whatever chair that I had, and this one like leans back, then I turn it around and I lean on it, and like I honestly used to get a pretty sore elbow from all this hard work, and now I have this chair, and it's just really changed the game. Then I need headphones. I have 2 pairs for different times. I have the Air Maxes because to try and block out the haters and block out the noise and block out the babies, block out anything else, but they kind of hurt my ears after a while. So then I just have my normal, these have a sticker on them, but I always call them the ear, really hard. AirPods, it's the same in an Australian accent. AirPod or AirPod. Spare paper. You have to have paper to cover your work so as you're not smudging it, but I'm right-handed, so left side to right, so I'm not going right side and then smudge all my way over to the left. But in the meantime, I need to have spare like craft paper or whatever to cover up most of the drawing. And especially if the drawing's big, like it needs to be covered. I've tried the tape thing of like taping around the edges. I don't know, I find tape sketchy. It's always like, will this rip the paper at the end? Which like, you're fucked if that happens. You finish the drawing and then it rips like you get little tear marks on the paper. So I actually go without the tape. But then I also need spare paper for my timesheets. This is very, these are like my personal time cards, and I love them and I keep them because I put which pencils I need, I put like trials of colors, I put the notes that I'm listening to whilst I'm listening to like audiobooks or podcasts, like, oh, new book to read, write it on here. And then my hours, so I know how to, it helps me with pricing the artworks, it helps me with predicting like how long future artwork will take, and it also just helps me feel kind of motivated. I'm like, I need to do 5 hours a day of solid drawing, and that's like, you know, timer off for the toilet, timer off for hanging out with babies. It's like solid drawing. So it's good for me as well. Like if I'm at 4 hours and then after dinner, I'm like, no, I gotta do another one. And then I feel like 5 hours doesn't sound like that much, but it is, okay? It is of solid drawing time. It is. So spare paper for that. Then I like to have incense, lip balm, chewing gum. I have an oral fixation, and I probably go through one of these every like 2 days, which is super gross. Coffee, all pressed coffee only, thanks to my friend Clem Lester. I need a spare table below so I can put my drinks below so it doesn't spill on the artwork, which has never happened yet, but it's only a matter of time. Okay, for the indentation, and actually this is a good one for like after you've finished most of the artwork. Molotow white acrylic paint pen in 1.5 millimeter is for highlights at the end of your artwork, and I wouldn't suggest using it like as you go. The highlights should really be the white pencil or the indenter, but if you need like a little, especially with like a chrome or like a really strong white, this acrylic pen is really good at the end, but use it sparingly. I used to not use it sparingly, and I think you could tell, and then it's like, well, you look like you've got marker on your page. Little dots only, and this is the one to use. Not Posca, controversial, I don't know, not any other ones, this one, and it doesn't even work that well, but the white is white. I feel like it doesn't work on paper. I was drawing on like a Yeti takeaway cup the other day. It was great, smooth, thick, consistent lines, and then on paper it like runs out, and I have to like splodge it on this page, get a little puddle, and then like dip it and do a dot. But that's really good. And then for signing, we just need like what do I use? What do I use for signing? Oh, these, Micron. which are such bitches because you can truly only like use them once on top of pencil because of the wax. And they're expensive, but I guess they're the best ones. But I go through these just like, I'm just throwing them out all the time because once they get too much wax on them, they stop working. But that's what I use to sign my works. Then I need glycine paper for packing the works or for storing them. And then you need a damn good framer. Make a friend of your framer, which I have actually just recently, and it's a game changer. I think it's everything. See, I'm just scrappy. I don't need much. I used to do this all within a bag for the last like 2 years, traveling around with honestly most of this stuff. So I'm just like, I'm easy, really, really easy and low maintenance, and yeah, that's it. Good luck.